Gotta check, gotta Facebook stat, gotta see any emails that might have come in. What is it about this thing that more and more experts are calling digital heroin? Mom and Dad, your call. You need to figure out the rules and the boundaries in your home. But when I read this article, I have to tell you, I thought, whoa, I am so glad that my kids, they were too young for the electronic stuff. We just caught the very tail end of it, so we didn't have to deal with these issues like you are going to have to deal with them if and this information is accurate, and I fear it is. Here we go from Nicholas Carderis. There's a reason that the most tech-cautious parents are tech designers and engineers. Say what? Steve Jobs was a notoriously low-tech parent. Silicon Valley tech executives and engineers enroll their kids in the no-tech Waldorf schools. Google founders Sergey Brin and Larry Page went to no-tech Montessori schools, as did Amazon creator Jeff Bezos and Wikipedia founder Jimmy Wales. What do these tech geeks know that you and I need to know? Glowing screens are having a negative effect on kids. We see, writes the doctor, the aggressive temper tantrums when the devices are taken away, and the wandering attention spans when children are not perpetually stimulated by their hyper-arousing devices. Worse, we see children who become bored, apathetic, uninteresting, and uninterested when not plugged in. You ever been to Walmart and hear one of them their meltdowns? Give me my... A kid like a volcano erupting because mom wants his attention for a moment. She simply needs to figure out if this piece of clothing is going to fit the child, and so the kid has to set aside their tablet and they blow. What is going on here? Dr. Carderis writes, we know that those iPads, smartphones, and Xboxes are a form of digital drug. Recent brain imaging research is showing that they affect the brain's frontal cortex, I thought so, which controls executive functioning, including impulse control, the same way cocaine does. Hello. Technology is so hyper-arousing that it raises dopamine levels, the feel-good neurotransmitter most involved in the addiction dynamic as much as sex. Oh boy, could that possibly be the reason that people have to drive thousands of pounds of metal called an automobile while they're texting? Why do people feel the need to do 60, 70, or if you live in Atlanta, averaging about 85 while taking care of some very urgent text? Maybe it's because I gotta have it. Could that explain why people risk our lives? More from the good doctor. This addictive effect is why Dr. Peter Wybrow, director of neuroscience at UCLA, calls screens electronic cocaine. Chinese researchers call them digital heroin. In fact, Dr. Andrew Doan, head of addiction research for the Pentagon and the Navy, he's been researching video game addiction, calls video games and screen technologies digital pharmakia. Clearly, this guy is a Christian, because who else would know the Greek from the warning in Galatians? It's a drug. Mom and Dad, what are you going to do about this? Honestly, what are you going to do? I'm not going to give you a rule. I can't make a law where there is no law. That's legalism. So how are you going to help your kid not get addicted? And maybe even more importantly, how do you keep your kid from getting hooked in a world that is dominated by technology? One more note from the doctor. Screens increase depression, anxiety, and aggression, and can even lead to psychotic-like features where the video gamer loses touch with reality. How can they not frankly. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, a 2013 study, 8 to 10-year-olds spend on average 8 hours a day. 8 hours a day. Teenagers, 11 hours. Mom, Dad, how many hours per day is your kid sitting there with his drug of choice? Mom, Dad, what are you going to do? This article from Dr. Carderis offered one suggestion. Here it is. The key is to prevent 4, 5, or 8-year-olds from getting hooked on screens to begin with. That means Lego instead of Minecraft, books instead of iPads, nature and sports instead of TV if you have to. Demand that your child's school not give them a tablet or Chromebook until they're at least 25 years old. Okay, I changed that because I am sure the doctor knows some stuff. But wow, even at the age of 10, whatever the age is, Mom and Dad, here is the law that I'm willing to lay down. Do something. I don't know what. I don't know how you're going to hide them. I don't know how you're going to keep your kid off of them without a lot of battles. I might suggest that you teach them a lot about submitting to authority and making sure that their brains operate well, because God thinks well. And when we turn them into electronic mush, we are not glorifying God. You need to put up a gate. You figure it out for the age, you figure it out for the amount of time per day. And if you happen to have a child who is addicted to this stuff, they don't need to go to the psychologist. They can't help them. Find a biblical counselor. The Association of Certified Biblical Counselors, look them up, biblicalcounseling.com, or it's right here. Biblical counseling website right there, so that you can find somebody who can biblically help your child get his or her priorities straight.